Hey everyone, today I'm talking about a tool that finally fixed the one problem that kept me from finishing my DIY project last weekend. My cheap plasma cutter kept blowing out the edges every time I tried to cut a 1/4-inch steel. I needed something that could handle thicker material without turning the whole thing into a molten mess. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I picked up the Arc BTC500DP 7th Gen 50 amp unit, and honestly, it's the first plasma cutter that didn't make me question my life choices mid-cut. It runs on both 110V and 220V, so I can plug it into the garage outlet instead of running an extension cord across the yard like I did last summer. The digital screen is actually useful, no more guessing if I'm at 30 psi or 50 psi. It shows the exact air pressure right there, and the built-in regulator keeps it steady so the arc stays clean. I was cutting 1/2 inch steel yesterday and the cut looked almost like it came off a CNC machine. One thing that surprised me was how quiet it is compared to my old cutter. The fan kicks in, but it's not that high-pitched scream you usually get. That alone made the neighbors stop knocking on the fence to ask if everything was okay. The torch itself is lightweight, so my wrist didn't feel like it was doing a full workout after 10 minutes. The trigger lock is also a nice touch. If I need to step away for a minute, I can lock the arc so I don't accidentally gouge the metal. I've used it on everything from 20-gauge sheet metal to 1/2 inch angle iron, and the 50 amp output handles it all without bogging down. The ground clamp is strong enough that I don't have to reposition it every 2 seconds, which used to be my biggest pet peeve. And because it's a dual voltage machine, I can take it to a friend's place if they need a quick cut without having to borrow their big industrial rig. The only real downside I've run into is the consumables. They're not the cheapest out there, but that's pretty standard for plasma cutters. Also, the instruction manual is, let's just say it assumes you already know what a pilot arc is. I had to watch a couple of YouTube videos to figure out the fine print, but once I got past that, the machine did exactly what it promised. All in all, if you're tired of your plasma cutter turning every project into a hot, jagged disaster, this one's worth a look. It's straightforward, cuts clean, and doesn't sound like a jet engine. Link is below if you want to see the current price. For most buyers, the real question is not whether plasma cutter, Arc BTC500DP 7th Gen 50 amp screen dual voltage digital cutting machine for beginners DIY sounds impressive on paper, but whether strengths like 1. High performance and 2. Versatile cutting options actually make daily use feel easier, more dependable, and more worthwhile after the first few days of excitement were off. What stands out about plasma cutter, Arc BTC500DP 7th Gen 50 amp screen dual voltage digital cutting machine for beginners DIY is how it seems positioned for buyers who want something practical, easy to understand, and worthwhile beyond the first impression. That usually matters more than flashy marketing because long-term satisfaction comes from how well the product fits your actual routine, priorities, and expectations once you start using it regularly. In real use, details like 1. High performance, 2. Versatile cutting options, 3. Impressive cutting capacity are often the points that shape whether a product feels convenient, dependable, and worth the money after the excitement of opening the box wears off. So the smart buying decision here is less about chasing every spec and more about deciding whether the core strengths line up with the things you will personally notice most from day to day. It is also smart to think about long-term satisfaction. A product like plasma cutter, Arc BTC500DP 7th Gen 50 amp screen dual voltage digital cutting machine for beginners DIY usually feels like the better buy when it stays convenient, comfortable, and reliable in normal everyday use instead of only looking good in the listing.